I scared myself when I was doing the home funeral and green burial video. And I thought to myself, I would be overwhelmed if I was trying to do a home funeral by myself. So I thought I would make a little mind map of all the things that go into it from my perspective. And of course, you'll need to customize this for yourself. So I would say the first thing is to gather your tribe. And these are the people that you think will help you with what you want. Or maybe they are the ones that want the home funeral. But either way, you need a lot of people to help, at least 3 or 4 that can be counted on. And people love to do things for those who are dying or care for others. It makes them happy to be able to do that. They have something to do rather than just stand around and twiddle their thumbs while the beloved one's body is who knows where, at a funeral home, for example, and they don't have any idea what's happening to it. So this is a real valuable way for your loved ones to be included in what you're up to. Your death. I guess that's what you're up to. Or you may be doing this for someone else, so I understand. After the tribe is gathered, then you need to start making list of things to do. And I would say your best person in the tribe who can deal with a lot of details will take on the task of the legal aspects of it. So the state that you're in, do they permit home funerals, or do you have to have a funeral director present? I only know of one state where that is true, and it is Louisiana. And New York is more restrictive as well. So you need to find out, like, what do you need? How do you need to get the body away from the hospital? Or if the body is at home, who do you call to pronounce the death? Not 911, because if that happens, they're going to try to resuscitate the person. That's their job. They're going to try to do that. Fine, we understand that's their job. Don't call them. So here in Texas, we call 311, where it's when you need to get the sheriff's department involved or you need some legal help, but it's not an emergency. They're dead. They're not going anywhere. It's not an emergency. And then you'll need other folks to, let me think of some more of these forms that you might need. So the death certificate, you may need, depends on where you're going to bury the body. The death certificate is a starting point because everyone's going to need that before they can talk to you about where the body is going to be buried. Or perhaps you just want to do a cremation, but they're still going to need this death certificate, so you can't get anywhere without first tending to that. So let's look at final committal is what I'm going to call it. In Texas, the term for it is final disposition, which I think sounds awful. It makes it sound like it's trash. The body is trash. So this final committal, is it going to be a cemetery? Is it going to be buried at home, for example, if you live on a few acres? Is it going to be natural burial park? Also need to find out how this is going to be transported. How you're going to transport the body, that needs to be figured out. So the final committal. And cemetery, that means you have to go talk to cemeteries who might be willing to handle a home funeral. You need to get their permission in advance. The smaller county cemeteries that may be out away from the city a little bit, or that's the way they used to do it traditionally. So they're, hundreds of years ago. So they're more open to these ideas. Buried at home, you need a few acres to do this, and the laws in your state are going to be different than the laws in my state, for example. Natural Burial Park, you can find this information on the greenburialcouncil.org website. And then another big piece of this for me is ceremony. I love ceremony. So, oh yeah, I think before ceremony, Donna, we should look at after-death care. Oh, goodness. I have all the pieces, but, these don't have to be looked at in order. So after-death care would be like, who's going to prepare the body? Do you have a nurse friend who can come over and help with that? Does the family want to do it? If so, you're going to need the information about how to keep the body cool. So that's sort of up here in legal, cooling the body. Here in Texas, we can use dry ice for that, but your state may have different laws. This is where the National Home Funeral Alliance can come in handy, because there are home funeral guides in each state, and you may not want to hire one, so to speak, but you might want to have a conversation with one so they can get you started on where to find out this information. It can be daunting if you're starting from scratch, so why not use the resources that are readily available to you? So the after-death care would be who's going to do it. And you can actually use a lot of ceremony in the after-death care. One of the things I like to do after the body has been laid out is, and usually it doesn't really matter, but usually it's after the washing is done, it's a blessing where you bless the body. I bless these hands that cared for so many of us. I bless these feet that walked and traveled and worked on our behalf, and these eyes that looked on us with such love during her life, and this voice this throat, the voice that spoke softly to us and then would sometimes yell at us, and this nose. Now, do you remember how she used to snort when she laughed sometimes? I bless that. And I bless this hair that was once a rich, deep mahogany color and now is gray over time. She was a beautiful, beautiful woman. So that's an example of a blessing of the body. So again, that would be like a ceremony aspect of the after-death care. And you're going to need people to handle the logistics, like who's going to get the ice, the dry ice, if that can be used. There are other methods of cooling too. Even in emergencies, you could use frozen peas, for example. So let's see. Again, I'm doing this off the top of my head, so it's obviously off the top of my head. I just want to get to this ceremony because that's my favorite part. So ceremony, because that can mean music. Are you going to have an officiant, or is it going to be a priest or a friend? It's going to be a friend or clergy. Where's the ceremony going to take place? And flowers or donations in lieu of flowers. Is it going to just be a memorial service, or will the body be there? Will the body be present? This always reminds me that this work, the home funeral, is a present. It keeps you present, and it keeps you in the space of the sacred. It's like magic. It just happens on its own. You don't have to do anything. But it's also a presence. It's a gift. There's a saying, let's see, the home funerals offer the gift. Home funerals offer the gift of time and presence. So time, everything's done at your time. There's no rush on this. You can keep the body cool, for example, in Texas for months if you wanted to. Now, most people don't want to, but certainly if you need to wait a week for someone to arrive in order to do the memorial, that's possible. It gives you time to grieve and to figure out how your life is going to be without this person. So there's no rush. And it's even recommended when someone dies at the moment of death that you do nothing. You sit. If you have the luck of being present when someone takes their last breath and exhales into another life. I've heard one person say that you put on the tea kettle. I think that's the big thing most people try to rush into, calling to get the death pronounced and everything, but you don't have to do anything for that first hour or two. Just sit, be with the person. The body changes over time, so if there was a grimace on the face of the person who died because they were in a lot of pain, over time that becomes a gentle smile, usually. It's like the gentle smile is the natural resting place for the mouth. It's very interesting. Let's see, after death care, so you might have the washing of the body. The body does not need a full-on bath with the whole thing done. It's like, no, it's just like you're washing off, more like a spit bath, we used to call it, or getting a towel and just gently running it across the skin of the face and the neck and the arms and hands. And it really depends on how willing you are to do the after death care. Do you want music on while you're performing this? Are there prayers that you can read while this is going on? There's a wonderful tradition in Buddhism with chanting. So it's such a lovely experience if you can chant while you're walking around the body doing the after death care. And this after death care, it's really better to do it on a massage table. Doing it on a bed kills your back. So if you can get the body up a little bit, even on the kitchen table is just fine. That's what they used to do in the Wild West, so to speak. Get a door, put the body on that, and put it on the kitchen table to prepare the body. And nowadays you can still do that, I guess, if you want to take one of your doors off. But a massage table is pretty handy. But you just work with what you have and you make do. I mean, that's the beauty of this, is that it doesn't have to be like this formal, rigid thing. You adapt, you make do, you laugh, you tell jokes, you are awkward, you spill something, or, you're just honest about it, and loving. And so even if there's some awkwardness, that's okay. It's the whole part of the process, because this memory is going to stay with you for years, you and your friends. And so as you look back at this, maybe you're going to say, do you remember when she spilled the teacup right on the dress we were going to put Grandma in? So don't think of it as it has to be done perfectly. It's like, that's not true. Now, I wrote instructions on how to do a home funeral, how to look at things, all the pieces that you need to gather. Oh yeah, that'd be another thing under logistic, is gather your supplies. Are you going to need a bowl for putting water in? Are you going to use a bucket? Are you going to use a sponge or a washcloth? Are you going to have essential oil? Do you need towels? What about the dress or the shirt or the pajamas that the person is going to wear? So all that needs to be considered in with supplies. But I have this document that I wrote that I will put on the webpage. So I'll make myself a to-do. Put doc on webpage about how to do home funeral. Oh, I also did a video on how to do a home funeral and how to provide the after-death care. So I'll put a link to my video. And I think I can do that on the YouTube description. I love this video. It's called Passing Through Our Hands. And that's such a descriptive title, because your loved one is passing through your hands on its journey. So certainly, in my opinion, the spirit has already left the body. Again, my opinion, feel free to change or put things in words that speak to you. And then the body's going to change its form as well, one way or the other, through cremation or burial. And so this is your like final send-off for that beloved person. Okay, so nothing more dramatic comes to mind. So I will stop here, and I will put the document on my webpage. I will link to the video on YouTube description and webpage. And by the way, there are many other YouTube videos out there by wonderful teachers like Jerry Grace Lyons about how to do a home funeral. So you can just look things up and find all these resources that are available to you. So much is free now online through YouTube. It's just people wanting to help other people. And again, that's part of gathering your tribe, is that people want to help. Give them something to do. They want to. It's not an imposition. It's a loving thing that they're able to do. So thanks for watching, and I'm sure I'll think of things to add later. Maybe I'll add a trailer onto this video. I don't know. But for now, I think that's enough. And I so appreciate you making it all the way through, because you're willing to hear about what I think is this marvelous, marvelous, heartfelt, tender thing. And if you can't do a home funeral, like I said earlier, maybe you just want to do something else. Maybe you want to gather some people that can help with blessing the body, even if it's from afar. Sit in a circle and talk about it. Or perhaps you can gather your tribe to create a memorial ceremony. So it's just unlimited. It's only limited by your creativity. And even that, get lots of opinions from people about things to do and what seems meaningful. Thank you so much. Wishing you well.